I wanted to talk a little bit about Trellix EDR with forensics and the evolution of an endpoint security stack from Trellix. Essentially, the Trellix endpoint security solution in general is designed to optimize your endpoint protection and manage enterprises at scale, so very large enterprises and also small ones. And we can do this through proactively protecting against sophisticated threats on desktops, servers, and also fixed function devices. The objective, of course, that we want to achieve is to be able to simplify and improve triage, investigation, and response. And triage is an important aspect of this. The solution will provide us with high-fidelity alerts and telemetry, and as well as that, guided investigations. And this is an important part of the solution because it's becoming apparent that we don't always have all of the necessary resources available to us to do the necessary investigation. So having guided investigations helps to a large extent in doing that. And obviously we want to minimize the impact to the user and to the endpoints themselves as well. So what we look at is, how we address this before the attack cycle, how, the initial proactive defense, and if there is an event that happens, how do we handle that during the event, and also what do we do after the event as well in terms of remediation. So it's a very comprehensive solution, so it goes beyond just endpoint protection. We bring in EDR as well, and also now forensics. And that's why we have the EPO involved as well, because EPO helps us to do the orchestration part of it, and it helps us then also filter through the complexity of what's involved in an endpoint solution stack. And by reducing the complexity, of course, it also makes the security operations center far more efficient, and therefore we can get to the end point where we want to get in a far quicker manner than we would normally be able to do. So essentially what we're talking about here is defense in depth, and that defense in depth also comes with the requirement for layered endpoint protection. So we want to be able to respond to system and user actions as well, because it isn't always system issues that are causing the problem, but also user actions. And we do that with a multi-layered approach, where we look at pre-execution, what happens then on execution and during execution, and also in post-execution. And we want to collect as much data from each of those particular layers as we can in order to have a very effective solution in terms of the volume of data that we're looking at. Now, of course, that volume of data comes with its own challenges, and we have ways of addressing that in the solution as well. So we're looking largely at trace data that's coming from the endpoint, and that's tunable as well. You can tune what sort of trace data that you're collecting and make it more relevant. And then we want to look at those detections and indicators of compromise as well. So, as I mentioned, ePolicy Orchestrator is core to this, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. It's, as you know, it's an open and extensible platform which can be integrated with a lot of external solutions as well as our own internal solutions as well. It provides a simplified deployment options and very granular control as well in those deployment options, and it enables a single orchestration and automation platform as well. And of course, it comes with many different types of dashboards and reports for monitoring and for compliance. And it's a very broad solution and continues to be at the core of our endpoint solutions. And it's also part of the overall Trellix platform, the architecture of Trellix, which we have designed in such a way that it covers a broad range of environments. So regardless of whether you have cloud requirements or you need to have on-prem, which is becoming more and more the case that solutions need to stay on-prem, we can accommodate that. We can address those solutions as well. So much so that we've also started looking at how we can actually provide a hybrid type of environment as well, hybrid support. And the OT space shouldn't be something that we should forget about. So we have options there for air-gapped environment, and of course we can provide partner-managed solutions as well, which really speaks to the flexibility of the solution itself. You can see that we have a wide range of security controls in our architecture, whether that's endpoint, network, data, email, cloud, or third party, and they all work together, and we can use the telemetry and the data to good effect using things like GTI or Global Threat Intelligence Database and Threat Intelligence Exchange as well for the exchange of data. So that's really on the endpoint, and we're evolving the endpoint into something like EDR, where we want to have endpoint detection and response. We want to take concrete action on the information that we have available to us. And not only that, if there is a breach or an attack, or we notice an alert that needs further investigation, then EDR allows us to do that. So it starts with collecting trace data. So we collect a large volume of trace data, and again, like I mentioned earlier, that's very tunable. It's always on, and it's very flexible in terms of how long you retain that data, whether it's just for 30 days or 90 days. There are various options available there. And it has broad visibility in terms of the agent itself, broad visibility on the endpoint, and like I said, that endpoint could be a server as well. And it's cloud-centric, and the cloud-centric bit is important, and it's often forgotten as to why that's important. It's because there's a lot of post-processing takes place in the cloud in terms of the AI and machine learning models that we utilize to help us surface those threats. And surfacing threats, of course, is the next stage. It's one thing being able to identify them, but what does the system do with that information? It needs to make it visible to the Security Operations Center analyst so that the analyst can actually do something with that. So we're looking at surfacing suspicious behavior. We're looking at both file-based and file-less attacks and threats, and we map this to the MITRE ATT&CK framework to ensure that we have everything, all of the various avenues covered. And with that information, then we can create guided investigations to guide the Security Operations Center analyst in terms of what actions they should take. And this is done through automation within the system itself and the back end, as I mentioned, and it provides correlation at an enterprise scale as well. And again, that's only possible because we're working with the solution in the cloud. And with that information, then we want to be able to respond. So response can take the form of, first of all, doing deeper searches. So we have historical searches available to us as well, and real-time searches. So we can actually search in real time on the environment as an attack is happening. And then we can determine specific actions that we want to take, whether that's quarantining a device, deleting files. It's quite a powerful solution in that regard, and can take a lot of various actions. So again, coming back to the layer defenses that we addressed, we also need to make sure that the solution is multi-platform, multi-device, and multi-architecture, so that it covers a broad range of bases. And that also refers to the operating system support that we have. It's not just a Windows solution. It will work with Linux and OS, Mac environments as well. In terms of what it looks like, the interface is quite intuitive once you get up and running, and it helps the Security Operations Center analyst in terms of working with the tool intuitively and quickly, and getting to a point where they can respond in a very, very timely manner. And they have access to all of the rich information that's available through EPO, through ENS, also from our external threat intel sources, such as I mentioned, such as GTI and Threat Intelligence Exchange. And it provides real-time customizable actions as well that the analyst can take, or they can be automated within the solution as well itself. And the concept, the whole idea behind this is to reduce alert fatigue and just filter down into what's really important, what's really relevant, because there can be a lot of alerts that really are quite meaningless. So we need to be able to identify the ones that mean something and how we can actually do something with those alerts. And that brings us on to the forensics part. It's one thing being able to look at what you have available, but you want to be able to broaden that search and broaden those capabilities specifically with forensics. We know that 93% of cyber attacks result in significant downtime and data loss, and not only that, but we also see recurring attacks happening, and that's because we haven't initially identified the root cause of a particular attack. And forensics capabilities help us to do that because it provides a deeper insight into what's happened. It also helps us to reduce remediation times with inbuilt automated data acquisitions that are coming from the endpoints as well. So the key points there are, as they're listed there, the improved detection efficacy with multi-layer detection, as I mentioned already. We want to speed up investigation and response via automated forensics, and we want to make sure that the management is easy and straightforward, so that it doesn't further add to the complications that we have already that we're already facing when we're dealing with a threat like that we would normally be dealing with. And this has come around as a result of sort of the merger of FireEye technologies and McAfee technologies as well. And we'll look a little bit about that here in this particular slide. We'll see the capabilities coming from HX and also the capabilities that are coming from ENS. So we've merged both capabilities into essentially into a single tool, and to capture the relevant data and make it appropriate and easy for an analyst to understand. So from ENS, we've got the malware protection, the malware guard, and the exploit guard. From EDR, when we extend out the ENS side of things into EDR Cloud, we've got things like enterprise search and attack summary and the audit viewer. And then from the HX side, we've got the forensics acquisition, the endpoint automated investigation part of it as well. And of course, really important, it becoming ever more important, of course, is the real-time indicators of compromise, because the indicators of compromise help us tend to identify potentially what happened and also what might be the future trends in terms of what's happening in our environment. So, when people think about response, they think about just containing the issue at hand, but it's about a lot more than that. As I mentioned, we want to reduce recurring attacks, and we can only do that if we have in-depth information available to us to look at what potentially happened. So we need to be able to do enterprise searches at scale, so at a very large level as well as at a smaller, more localized level as well. We want to be able to do remote shell and deep looking into our environment as well, and provide evasive attackers as well. So you can only look at, if somebody is trying to evade detection, you can really only identify that with forensics by following the forensic analytics and identifying the specific threats. So in terms of the deployment models that are available, there's the if you have a cloud, specifically a cloud environment, it covers the both cloud and on-prem as well as hybrid as well. Support is provided for the various endpoint solutions that we have. So it's not just about the endpoint security solution, but also things like device control, for example, or application and change control. They can all feed into the EDR and forensics capabilities that we have and provide additional information. This slide is probably a little bit small to illustrate here on the screen. There's a lot going on there, so certainly if there's something that you'd like more information on specifically in relation to this slide, because it is quite complicated, but it shows how we've combined the capabilities of McAfee and FireEye into providing the forensics capabilities, and I'm happy to discuss that with anyone afterwards, after this presentation. We have our booth there and we can look at it in a little bit more detail and discuss the ins and outs of the tiny little points of it that are taking place. In terms of the architectures, it's one solution, EDR with forensics, and it's deployable in cloud, hybrid, on-prem or air-gap mode. And then finally, just to close out, this is just a hybrid example, how we do the hybrid part of it. And again, if you want to drop by the desk later on, I'll talk you through this, what's involved in this, because there are a few layers to it that we need to identify. And I have two closing slides that, again, I'd be happy to discuss with you towards the end of this presentation if you want to drop by. It just shows our deployment options, whether it's on-prem or cloud only. So that's pretty much it for me. Just leave you with this little nugget of useful information here. Why Trellix? We have well over 50 years combined experience between the two companies. In total, that works out sort of from end to end, 35 years, 3,600 employees worldwide, and a lot of other resources available to us over the years, and a lot of experience in the industry. And we're putting all that experience to good use in providing protection for you, our customers, and for the general cybersecurity world in general. So that's it for me for now. Thank you so much for your time and for listening. I appreciate it.